Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fucked Up Discussion. It is 0606, June 6th. And as I keep saying every week, it's getting more and more fucking insane. It's getting more and more fucking out there. It's getting more and more, I don't know what the fuck anymore. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm completely... This week has been like kind of the almost the straw that broke the camel's back in our household anyways. And I'm hearing from everyone that it's just been, the last week has been intensely crazy for people. So I want to put a call out to all you guys, like, how's everyone doing? And I know, Chris, you put up a post yesterday, and it was perfectly timed. Post basically like, did we fall into another timeline? Because what the fuck just happened? And I had it just intense insanity from the evening before into yesterday. Intense fucking insanity. And my little dude, who I always call my human barometer, he was wow last night. Like, really having a hard time. Having a very, very hard time. And one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about is listening to the words that kids use. Because kids come out with shit. And we all know that kids come out and say, you know, what's the show? Kids say the darndest things. But they come out with things that verbalize things that just kind of sometimes makes you go, where did you get that? It's the words they use. So at one point, who's whistling? The dog's on his chair here sleeping. Nope, there he goes. He came out of his room, and it was like you could see the whites around his eyes, literally. He was really losing his shit, and he said, I don't know what happened, but I just felt a wave of energy shift through the entire planet. And he used the word, the whole wave of energy, and he used the word shift. Now, these aren't words that my kid would normally use. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the kind of terminology that he would normally throw out there. So I took note, as you can imagine. I really took note of that. And he had a real hard time. He was like, I'm so afraid. I feel so afraid right now, and I don't know why. And I got him all calmed down and got him back into bed. And about 15 minutes later, he was up again, and he was crying. Really crying. And he said, it's too noisy. There's too many voices. I keep seeing too many people. Too many people all over the place. The shadows are everywhere. There's too many people everywhere. And I don't know what to do. So I worked with him, and we got him calmed down, and I put some shields on him to help him muffle it a little bit, if you will. But it's a big indicator. And I got word from several other friends of mine who've got young kids saying, oh yeah, the kids have been just like, they can feel it. There's something fucking happening. And the kids are really having to work hard to go with the flow. Really having to work hard at it. So I wanted to find out from you guys what kind of stuff was coming in for you guys. And Chris, like I said, I know that you got hit with the exhaustion stick and you had to lie down again for a second time. I did the same thing. I tried to lie down yesterday, and I couldn't because there was too much going on in my house. But from 7 o'clock onwards that night, last night, I could have gone to bed at 7 o'clock at night easily. And I mean, it would have been like just pass out cold. And I ended up staying up and getting shit done. But crazy. So any of you guys want to jump in and talk about? Hey, Mia, I saw you pop in. Deb, okay. I laughed. I was chatting with Ann this morning, and I fucking had a howl. because Deb just said, suddenly getting dizzy, almost blacking out a few times. Sat down this morning on my chair, come out, shuffle your feet, got coffee, put it down, roll a cigarette, fire up the computer, I'm looking, and as I'm sitting here, I'm having a coffee and a smoke, and all of a sudden I can feel everything start to go, and I literally was just like, oh, it's going to be one of those days, and just kept on going. And I joked with Anne saying, oh my God, if this had been like 4 years ago, you'd have been going, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? Oh my God, what the hell? And it's to the point now where it's like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those days. Okay, keep going. Because what else are you going to do? I mean, you just got to keep going. It's not like you can just stop everything. No, Deb, the idea of a hitchhiker. I've checked into that my own self several times. The idea of getting an energetic hitchhiker, something is latched onto you and is kind of siphoning off energy, things like that. I've looked at it multiple times and I've never seen anything like that. Like on myself, on others, when those type of things are going on. So it's not that. It's not that. Igor, on Monday I felt very clearly that I'm an installation I'm not part of. Nice terminology. Nice terminology. I've yeah, I've had that feeling this week heavily. Hold on, sorry guys. And we're getting like heavily sprayed with chemtrails today, like unbelievable chemtrails. So I'm literally everything in my head feels like it's full of gook. That's the words that people are using this week. That's the words that people are using this week. It's like we flipped to a new timeline. We've flipped to another reality, another dimension. There's this very distinct feeling of shit is not the where it's supposed to be. You're not where you're supposed to be, or you're not where you were yesterday anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so yeah, Brienne, exactly. A few years ago, any of this shit was happening to us, we'd have all been like totally losing our shit, freaking out. And now it's just kind of like, I don't know about you guys, but anyways, it's just kind of like you just keep going. You get dizzy, you get woozy, you get oh holy shit. Your words start falling out of your mouth in the complete opposite order that the sentence was in your head in, or out of your fingers in the exact opposite order in your head, and you just kind of keep going. It's like, well, what are you going to do? It's just another day like this. It's just another day like this. Okay, so Ben explained that. You're going to have to. If your internet will hold, Ben said, I've been experiencing things that even logically is non-existent.
Logicality just
Logicality.
It's like, and I know that it's like if I was going to put it just straight out, it's kind of like that whole Einsteinian thing of like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting a different outcome, right? But now what I'm experiencing is people verbalizing the same thing over and over again, like this is what's going on, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. The story or the play out is exactly the same, and it's like the wall that is being put in front of them, they just literally walk into, and because it knocks them back 2 steps, they just walk at it again. And I'm not talking about like different circumstances, and I'm literally talking like fucking Groundhog Day, to the point where there's a tennis court across the road from my workplace. So sometimes you get the whole like tennis grunts that you can hear echoing. But the last, I don't know, maybe month in a row, there has been this fight that this household have had that has gone on as well, kind of like Mandela effect. But these situations that I'm watching with friends and stuff like that, and not even just with friends, like we talked last week, it's like the playbook, you know, the 90s, you know, the 80s, the 90s, these exact things are happening, and it's like, haven't we / you / this already happened exactly like that? Like and it's just like, and it's really been wigging me out.
And you're losing your shit.
Well, I'm trying to observe it and not sort of what's the word? I guess let it affect me so that I can observe it. And there goes the internet connection.
Of course.
But it's like the people that I'm observing, or quite a few of them, are literally like crying out about it, including myself. But it's like, well, hang on. What, you keep going 1 + 1 = 2, but you're trying to get 5. Why are you continually going 1 + 1? So yeah, it's like just watching this thing go over and over and over and over.
Even with my kids, it's kind of like the same arguments happening over and over. And I literally looked at my boys this morning, and I got up. It was like first thing in the morning, and I went in to go get a new cup of coffee type thing, go freshen up my coffee, and they're sitting on the couch having an argument. And it's the exact same argument they have had, I swear, every morning for the last 2 weeks. Verbatim. And I looked at them and was like, are you seriously having this argument again? Well, yeah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I don't want to hear his side. I don't want to hear your side. I want it to stop right now. Because if you have this argument one more time, I'm taking everything away. Like, I'm taking fucking everything away, and you guys will sit on your beds with absolutely nothing to do for the rest of the day. And they just looked at me. I was like, you have had the same argument every fucking... No, we haven't. Yes, you have the same argument every morning this week. And it's like, you know, typical little kid stuff, nonsensical, nothing of any importance or relevance. It's like arguing over who gets to sit at what spot on the couch. That kind of irrelevant. Every day. Every fucking day. Holy shit.
I had something like that, like after I was Mandela affected. But it was with YouTube. Like, I was getting the same YouTube video, like, but it would always come up as new. But the people doing the video would be in the same spot of the game that they were playing. And the same dialogue in the game would be the same freaking dialogue. But but what they were talking about was different, but yet they were playing the same thing over and over. It was like the weirdest thing. For me, I've been getting weird physical stuff. Like, I've talked to you about how I was getting that window shadow thing on my ceiling. Well, I had it where it was on my door and my blinds closed, but yet lights coming bouncing off of my door. And I had one on the ceiling, and I took pictures yesterday of it. So, you know. And earlier this week, I was lying down, my stomach was feeling weird, felt like something was going on weird. But when I was in my room felt different to me. It felt totally odd, like out of place. Everything looked fine, but it was like, it was totally weird.
Well, it's
Hey
interesting.
Earl, I'm sorry to say Earl. It made me, but you just made me think of something I've experienced once. Like remember, like I mentioned it before, and Danny mentioned it way back. If you've experienced like whether you woke up or not, or you just happened to end up like feeling physically and visually, spatially disoriented type of thing. Where things just physically look out of whack, and you even feel out of whack. It's bizarre.
Well, my stomach was feeling weird, like something was being changed inside my stomach because there's a weird change where the stomach is changing. And now it has 3 parts to it, yeah. So it's like not your intestines, but your stomach, like changing now. And so I'm like, well, maybe it was that, but it
There's a lot of stomach problems right now. A lot of fucking stomach problems for everyone.
like earlier this week when I was younger and I was getting picked on a lot at school, I could not eat early in the morning because every time I ate early in the morning, I would just bring it back up. And that lasted for a long time into my adulthood. So one day I finally went through mentally figuring out, okay, why has this been happening all this time? And it took me a while to figure it out and deal with it that I could eat, early in the morning, again. But earlier this week, like, I could not, like, keep my morning breakfast down. I'm like, I've been through this. I've been past this. Like, this should not be a freaking ass problem for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's some of the shit has been weird. And I mean, like I said, the sick, we talked about this last week, everyone's been sick. Feeling symptoms at a broad spectrum across the board. It doesn't matter whether, again, what location you're in. People are having this. But one of the things that was interesting, the thought of waking up and being in the wrong place, whether it's Igor, like you said, like just being not in the place. One of the things that Logan's been saying for the last week is he doesn't like this house anymore and he wants to move because he's decided it doesn't feel right. And how do you have that conversation with a 10-year-old and try and explain? I mean, we tried to have the conversation of saying, well, if it may not be this house, it may literally be this place, like this place. There's a not gozo, as in this place you are in right now, this reality that you are in right now is what's making you feel that it's not right, that it's uncomfortable, that there's something wrong with it. Yeah. Has anyone else had anything with the kids recently? Now, I know most of you guys don't have, other than like there's a few of you with little ones, but most of our crew here your kids are all old and grizzled and grown up. What did you do, Ben? Whoa. I'm trying to read up to figure out what Ben's done. You hurt your ribs? What?
Yeah, I like dislodged a few ribs that were creating some very strange internal and bodily reaction. Well, no, it wasn't like an ouch. It was like I was considering maybe that I'd punctured a lung or something like that. Yeah. It was very, but what I think because the ride on was on a very steep hill and on a very bumpy ground, I was in this position and like kind of doing defensive maneuvers with my muscles. But because of like 4 hours of like solid just vibration and all the rest of it, by the time I stopped, it was kind of like the right half of my chest had been fucking contorted and pulled round. And yeah, it's taken a few sort of people jumping literally on me and some high magnesium and cannabis ointment.
Magnesium and
That
cannabis.
was an interesting one.
Try applying the C60 topically. I've been doing it on my shoulder. That keeps going out of place. That keeps deciding to just fall out of joint. And it's only been about 8-9 days now, and it's already helping. I can't believe. Like the pain reduction has been significant in my shoulder. So.
Well,
Okay.
What's the C60 stand for, real quick? I mean, yeah, the
Carbon
C60.
60. Carbon 60.
Okay, carbon 60. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Deb, I was going to ask you about that because I know you were making a batch of Ormus the last week, just before the show we were going live. Deb's sitting there I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to have to show us what exactly. All I can see is her hand doing this as she's siphoning off stuff. Gail, did you get your ear fixed? That's what I want to know. As long as your ear's fixed. Don't make me come up there with my tweezers, because seriously.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go on to a year stint of C60 with a few of my other bits that I'm going to add in along the way very, very soon. There will be Ormus involved.
Ormus, good. Well, keep track of it all. We want to hear all the groovy details of it. We want to hear all the groovy details. So yeah, basically everything's fucked. Everything is really, really fucked. Everything is really, really surreal. I go out. I've got other than our Unfuckers group, obviously, I've got one other group that I go into, and that's the World School group that I've been really actively taking part in a lot recently. And other than that, it's just stay away from the wall. Like the drama, the extremism, the holy shit, everyone is losing their shit. And it's really funny. So, small announcement for now. Sunday nights are now officially going to be movie nights. The Unfucker movie night, Sunday night. So, Ben, either you're going to have to change your shift, or you'll just have to play catch up and watch the movie when you get home from work.
You don't want me involved, I talk.
I know you do, and then I'd have to but I have the power of the mute button, so I could just permanently mute you during the movie. And it was really interesting. So we all watched Solar Revolution together, what, a month and a half ago? And everyone really, really enjoyed it. So on last Sunday night, we all watched The Fifth Element because it had come up on the Wednesday night show. It had come up, so we were like, fuck it, let's all sit down and watch this together. It's a classic movie. Let's all watch this. And everyone felt so good. Everyone enjoyed it so much. And I said, there's the problem with right now is, and I had this discussion with Ben and with Randy and Randy Moggins, and said, there seems to be, while there's tons of new stuff coming out, i.e. new pieces of transparency in the news, in the media, out of politics, out of finance, out of fucking whatever it is, another bunch of pedophiles arrested over here and all this kind of crap. So there is new shit coming up, but the reality of it feels like everything that we're doing is a rehash. It's even all the interviews that I've watched in the last month, some of them have been exceptionally good interviews because they're well spoken, they can lay out the material really, really well, the information is there, but it's not new information for us. It's not new information for us. It's like we're watching, look, she woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning again. It's the same material. And I just sat there and was like, I don't want to keep rehashing all this old material. I don't. And I would rather, my gut feeling, and with the few people I've been talking to about this, is that I think right now the best thing that we can do is just be together and just chat and have fun and not keep dwelling on all the crazy fucking shit and rehashing the theories and rehashing and and that's why I said, okay, fine. Sunday nights from now on is going to be movie night. Every Sunday night, we'll watch a movie together. We can chat about it in chat. We can chat about it afterwards if we want, because it felt really good. I really, really enjoyed watching The Fifth Element with everyone on Sunday night, and I've had a huge amount of people who've come forward and said, yeah, like it was so much fun. So, you know what? Yeah. And if there's something that comes up that needs to be discussed, then you know what, we can do a show on it. I put out, I don't know how many people I've put out requests to get them. We've got echo. There we go. There we go. To come on the shows, to have a discussion, to get involved in discussions. Oh, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. The lines will always be open for people like Sarah Westall. The lines are always open. But in the meantime, for me personally, as I was just about to say, as a fact of, I've put out a shit ton of requests to people who've had interesting things to say that I've said, hey, I'd really love to discuss this with you. And I get no response back. And I can make two choices in this, and I can make two choices and say, hey, I can take a defense, be offended and be like, no one wants to talk to me, no one wants to play in my sandbox. Or I can say, you know what, maybe the universe is just saying that we don't need to sit down and fucking talk about this shit anymore. Just don't need to talk about this shit anymore. And you know what, here's the thing, Ben, I get it. I'd like to talk to the biogeometry dude, but you know what, it's like a lot with a lot of this other stuff, I don't have the energy. I don't mean to sound terrible, but I don't have the energy to turn my brain on to that level of like high focus, that kind of intense conversation. I can do it if we need to, but I just, at this point in time, I'd much rather just relax and just chat and talk and throw shit on the table and discuss it openly the way that we always do. I've kind of, well, maybe it's that point of saying you totally give up on those external savior memes of looking for other people to bring you the pieces. I don't know. Maybe that's where I am right now. I've just kind of gone, yeah. I just, interesting shit, like the history stuff that Philippe Bale brought to the table in Unfuckers today. Really, really fucking interesting shit. But it's just another theory. It's just yet another theory. So I was going to get really, really into it tonight. I was really going to tear into it because there's some interesting fucking pieces in there that Igor and I talked about a year and a half ago. Yeah. I don't care about the Bilderberger meetings. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, although we should also, the Bilderberger meetings are starting this week. So, Fred thinks that we should all send out like a real big mental blast to them and be like, I don't know, like make giant fingers appear in front of them all doing this.
Yeah, if I may, 1 second. There's nothing about like giving them attention or, you know, because we know what they're about, blah, blah, blah. Just send them a big wave, and everybody listening, watching this video, just send them a fucking big wave of may your brains turn to fucking jelly blubber and may your tongues be completely twisted when you communicate with the press so you look as ridiculous as you are. That's it. I'm done.
May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your armpits. That's one of my favorites.
Well, they're already
totally
here right now anyway, so, you know, I'm not worried about them.
I just totally cracked me up with what you two were just saying. But what you two were just saying between now, who was it? I guess it was Brianna, or Alan D. It's like made me think of something about the theories. I think of something about the theories you just mentioned, and I was thinking how made me think of the left brain, right brain thing. But I was thinking of it how it tied into I saw we were doing like several years ago on Chitango chats, there's Chitango chat rooms and that Oracle radio shit and stuff. And we were talking about how some lady mentioned how it. She mentioned in the chat room how it's first time I'd heard it. I think that basically the human body, I guess, human body was basically just supposed to be, what do you call it? Like what do you call it?
Avatar?
No, the Earth. It was supposed to, yeah, basically the human body is just basically a microcosm of the planet itself. It's
Yep.
like at the basis, like I'm talking
macro,
about,
micro, yeah.
And when I first, like I said, when I first read that, when we were chatting online years ago, I thought, that's a good point. And someone had even posted it, like the diagram. It was something. The Earth and how the body and the brain relates to. Now, I thought this part again just this past night, like how the brain. I guess the whole brain. I was thinking mostly the right brain. I think that how it's maybe you know where I'm going. It's connected to the energetic source itself of the planet. Whatever's going on here, whatever this is, it's connected. The brain it must be so energetically connected to something. And you have this. Some stuff that was going on through my head the other night. So
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what, Chris? If they do a conference call, they can't get together and do their black voodoo magic and all that fucking bullshit and pat each other on the back, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, that's so Sunday nights, movie night. Sunday nights are now officially movie night. And fuck it, we'll just chill out. And if something interesting comes along that we all want to talk about, we'll get into it and we'll discuss it. And I kind of had a conversation with Randy Moggins today, and I said, too many, for lack of a word, I don't want to sound terrible. I don't want to say disappointments. That's not a good word. Kind of disappointments, though. Too many people that you look to for information, or have done in the past look to for information, and you just kind of start to see them clearly. Maybe it's always been there, but you start to see I don't know. And I try having conversations with people, and there's so few people, and I keep saying it, and I was joking with Randy, like I said today, saying I would love to make our deep immersion conversations bigger, as in bring more people in on, etc. Except, you know what? Like, I haven't really found hardly very many other people who aren't steeped in their own belief structure or their own theories that they can't discuss. There's a lot of people out there who've got great theories, but you can't discuss it with them. You can interview them and they will tell you all about it, but you can't discuss it. You can't debate it. They're not open to other ideas, other theories, it feels like. So that's kind of where I feel. I don't know, maybe that's just me for today, but that's kind of where I feel. As I was joking, saying to Randy, I'd love to find some more people to add to our deep immersion group for these discussions, but or they have too high of fees to have discussions, and even then, if they're charging fees for the discussions, they only want to discuss their point of view. Their deodorant wears off and you can smell the bullshit. Chris, you're like fucking seriously right on the mark today. Like, you're seriously just putting them out, one-liners, one after the other. Yeah, I'd rather hang out with my unfuckers and just chat with you guys. Fuck the rest of them. That's all. Besides, if we want people to confuse us, we've got Ben here. Ben can take us down rabbit holes to confuse everyone. So we don't need to go externally for shit like that. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. What else do you want to talk about? Really?
And with them, we're all going curiouser and curiouser.
Curiouser and curiouser. We're all mad here. We're all mad here.
Yeah, mad. Are we the? You said mad. Are we the Mad Hatters? I don't know. I just came up with
We're all mad here.
Mad Hatters. Oh, Mad Hares. Rabbit, hare, Mad Hares. I like that fits. Mad Hares, rabbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, proverbial. Yeah, rabbit down the hole. Hey, it works for me.
Yep.
I'm just being spontaneous.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Don.
I don't know if you saw my post on, because it was late Sunday, I'm thinking, but we had an incident here, you know, where the sun was setting in the east.
I saw that.
Okay, so it was like seriously profound. Like the pictures that I had posted were the opposite of what they should have been. But what was even more profound to me was, you know, I was on my way home. I saw it. I was like, what the fuck? And so then I'm calling my friends and, you know, they're walking out going, oh my God. And so then I get in here and, you know, and I go and get in the shower and I'm thinking to myself as I'm in the shower, I'm like, you motherfuckers, you know, and all of a sudden the fucking lights start going on and off while I'm in the shower, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So then all of a sudden the lights go out and it's pitch fucking dark and I'm like, oh, motherfuckers. So I get out and I'll start walking to, you know, make it out to where I can see. And I look out the window and it's like 70-mile-per-hour gusts. It's like shit is flying everywhere. My neighbor's patio furniture flew over their fence. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? So then I think it was BP Earthwatch that posted a video the next day. But something punctured our atmosphere right above. It looks like Louisiana, and it pushed down and it drove forward in a force that, I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And it just trekked across Texas and hit the front that was coming down. And then it like merged with it. And I was like, you know what? Whatever this was bearing down on us. Something was bearing down on us. I don't know what it was, but it was so unbelievable.
And that was Sunday?
Yes.
So Sunday is kind of the day when a lot of people are saying that's where they felt things seriously go fucking sideways.
Did he equate it to anything, Dawn?
Did who?
Like,
BP Earthwatch, did he give a...
Did he say like
no,
plasma ball or anything?
Well, no, he didn't, and he just basically kept saying, "I've never seen this before. You know, I've never seen anything like this before." I have the video. If y'all keep talking, I'll pull it up and I'll let you see it for yourself.
And Crazy Crone just said the Mr. MBB333 had the video. It looked like it was being directed. He mentioned magnetically directed. Okay, so that brings up something interesting.
Okay, so that's it. That's the video. If somebody can find that and hit share so we can all watch that, because it's profound. I'm going to look for it too.
See if anyone who can find it, throw me the link and I can pull it up and see what I can do with it. Someone posted a video about, we got into it, oh fuck, I don't know, before. Was it last week, early this week? I don't even remember. Time is completely fucking irrelevant at this point. And it was a guy talking about Hawaii by the volcano. Then he pulls out a compass, and the compass is just like fucking, it's not pointing north-south anymore. The compass is completely fucked. And we started discussing it in the Unfuckers group. And one of the theories that was put forward was, in the article, was that, well, you know, the magma and it had blown thousands and thousands of years ago, but then at that point the poles had been flipped, so therefore the magnetism had aligned, but then it got frozen in that way, but then the poles flipped again, but it was frozen in the opposite direction. And I'm just like, okay, dude, seriously? Seriously? If it's fucking liquid magma, that they're standing over that they're saying is causing the fucking compass to spin out of control. And it wasn't, according to the one person, it wasn't turning from north to south, as in doing like the poles were reversed. It was spinning out of control. Now, we've had this happen a shitload of times. In the last 2 years, we've had multiple people. I've had a friend of mine in Scotland who's a walker and a mountain, well, she's a professional mountain climber, out walking in the moors of Scotland and pulling out her compass when you realize, okay, it's getting cloudy, we can't really see the sun and know exactly where we're going, and her compass started spinning in circles. I had another friend of mine down in Texas, and this was a year and a half ago, after talking to our friend in Scotland, pulled out her compass and had the exact same thing start happening to her, where it was just spinning in circles. I've had it when we've gone trying to measure sunrise and sunset last spring and winter. And if I stood too close to the compass, the compass would start pointing to me instead of pointing north. So we've talked about the magnetic fields being fucking askew. We've looked at that one picture. God, I gotta fucking find that picture again and keep it somewhere so we can look at it, where it shows it's not that there's this beautiful, pristine torus of north and south poles around the planet. That the whole planet has got these like spots where all the geomagnetics are just like crunched everywhere. So one of the things I brought up was the fact of chicken and the egg question, but is the volcanic activity an indicator of geomagnetic instability? Or is the geomagnetic instability an indicator of the volcanic activity?
I'd call it geomagnetic capacity.
Okay, capacity. Yeah. Okay, yep. Perfect. But which is it? So, for example, if we were to look, okay, so the entire Ring of Fire is blowing up. The volcanoes all over the world, all around the Ring of Fire. Japan's just gone up. There's the massive one in Guatemala that's caused huge devastation. Hawaii, now we've got Mauna Loa. Guys, if someone can help me, Mauna Loa is now all of a sudden becoming active after like 100 years. And if that goes, like they're saying, oh, holy shit, if Mauna Loa in Hawaii goes, are these, like I said, are they the indicators where places around the planet or the geomagnetics have become unstable or reactive, right? Well, okay, so Ben, we talk about where there's magnetic field, there's an electric field. Okay, we're talking a volcano. We're talking a massive outpouring of
just
energy.
remember also when you have heat and cooling, you have magnetism.
Yes, you do. But is it enough to be doing with the kind of shit that we're talking about now that we're not seeing? Like this is again shit that we've never really seen before. The other thing, though, do you remember, Ben? The lightning strikes. Before the volcano in Indonesia went up, there were videos of the bizarre fucking lightning strikes happening, ground lightning going from the ground up to the sky. Okay, and then you have a volcano go off. And then you have, could we make a supposition, a geomagnetic. Okay, Ben, yes, before you spit up your guts, go ahead, tell us.
Well, we're in a solar minimum.
Yes.
And the sun is down to, I think it's something like 3,000 megapascals from 5,000.
Yeah.
So the literal radii in our ionosphere and magnetosphere are also at a very, very low, like a massive low.
Yeah.
So you're right, we are receiving more spatial and universal radiation and energy and frequencies.
Yep.
And this is like Cliff High's last thing on the Leak project. The way he puts things together there, yes, he can be sort of on his thing, but that actually the way he put it together in that particular thing, because of the way that the interview went, it was like, okay, this is poignant, very, very poignant. And the reason I'm saying it is because of that Robert Schoch video on Joe Rogan, because he brings up some massive stuff, and that's why I asked Dawn if anyone said it was anything to do with plasma discharge. Yeah. Because if we are on an expanding planet, when it reaches a capacity, which it can generally, technically, if you just look at the actual physical implications of what is transpiring,
Yeah.
it is at a solar minimum that our Earth reaches and starts to reach its capacity of energy, which would create an expansion.
Yep.
And an expansion isn't something that necessarily goes boom. It could be fissures opening up on certain soft points.
Yep. Exactly. And that's
So,
what I was getting
yeah.
to. Exactly.
So when with the heating and cooling, remember how I said there technically aren't poles. What there are energetic soft points. What I'm now postulating on what Cliff has been talking about the newest Earth being at the base of the oceans, is instead of plates, you have the Earth being born like that out of these fissures. Now,
Like a conveyor belt.
if hot and cold also can transpire as electrical discharge, positive and negative can discharge as hot and cold, magnetism, or electrical discharge. You have your lightning bolts or plasma bolts.
Mm-hmm.
You have plates, not like this, but plates that are forming like this in layers. And as I've said, with a lot of the tech we do with magnets, when you layer north-south, or positive, negative, what
Yep.
you then could potentially have is the birthing of, when you have enough new magma forming on the surface, it will technically set when it reaches capacity at either more positive or more negative
Yep.
on either end of the scale. So if there's new stuff being born on the northern hemisphere, it's going to be the last cooled, so it will go positive. And therefore, because it's going positive, the charge that was positive, perhaps on the south that is now older, will go negative. And this is how we may have what they deem a pole shift, because we have new Earth being spewed and born, which has a new charge. Once that new charge reaches capacity, it could be on the side where Hawaii is, and then that becomes a positively charged zone or negatively charged zone. So the reason they're spinning out is because it hasn't set yet. The lava's still really fresh, so it's still only producing. It's still kind of fighting with its environment, with its
Right.
charge.
But with the thing that got me was the fact that they immediately tried to do this whole thing to the pole shift, the pole flip.
On iron ore, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, seriously, like, their explanation makes no logical sense, knowing what we know with the information that you're just talking about. And I hate to say it, but like, literally, this is the kind of shit that we really were kind of taught in high school. This isn't like all that what you'd call advanced geology or physics. This is kind of shit that we learned in high school, like magnets and how they work, etc. So,
hey, I sent you that link. You got that link now. I put it in the Facebook link.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try and pull it up, guys, here. No, pause. Okay, I'm going to mute for a second, just so it doesn't go all stupid.
Now you're muted.
Just because sometimes my internet does weird, noisy fucking things, so I just wanted to make sure I was muted. Okay, so we're going to share screen, share computer sound. Look, I did it. Okay.
I'll stop trying to watch it.
Okay, so I'm going to put it on here. I've just kind of skipped through the whole intro type shit.
For hurricane.
Yeah, put it on full screen.
Weekend. So we'll get to that here in just a minute. But first, what I want to show you here on the Ghost 16 is really not much weather happening at all across the United States. But I did notice something super unusual last night here on the Ghost 16. And this is from last night. Watch that storm as it collides from central Louisiana to central Texas. It makes a beeline, almost like it's magnetically drawn to that storm. Collision forms one unified system that's now situated over Dallas. It's just very unusual, that's all. I hardly ever see that. Very, very rare. The dark colors represent height. The height generally means large.
You have never seen anything like that before.
So that's more than likely what occurred last night throughout the overnight hours across central Texas.
And that's what I saw that night.
That's bizarre. Like, I mean, even, hold on, let me see if I can pull it back. To this, I'm trying to pull it back so we can see the formation piece.
And the rate of speed it was moving is what hit when I was in the shower.
It means large hail, high winds.
Hold on, just give me a second.
So that's more than likely what occurred last night.
I want to see it
throughout
when
the
it goes
overnight hours.
Okay, now look at that. This entire line here, but it was like a storm front, so you can kind of see like storms sometimes move in lines like that, but when it starts coming together, he's absolutely right. This whole storm front's coming in this direction, and then this thing just makes a beeline
across central Texas, and that's what this time frame is.
Dragged everything together into one massive huge.
But just a rare moment that I wanted to share with you guys.
That's bizarre. But then you said that same night was the night that you saw the sun setting in the east. Did we just lose Dawn? Hold on. No, she's there. So, Dawn, was that the same night that you saw the sun setting in the east? Because you posted the picture of it.
Yes, it was because that came in right after, I think that next morning. And so I knew right then that was it. And I'm going to tell you, it was wild, y'all. It was unbelievable. It just come out of nowhere. It was just incredible.
Just on what we were just talking about, and this, you know how you were saying you had friends that go out and their compasses wig out?
Yeah.
So I would say that that's a ley line. And what I now am wondering if what a ley line is you've got these layers of magma sort of rock. You've got your mineral bases, which are essentially crystalline structures, so granite and sandstone and quartz and all that, they're different silica bases, yada yada. So when we work with magnetics, we can get a north and a north and a south to stick to each other by putting a plate, a magnet, like a magnetic transferable, but a non-magnetic, so like iron or steel, right? A steel plate in between them. We can, when we talk to them nicely, we can get the north and north and the south and south, or the positive and the positive to stick together, and that plate in between them just faces their field. So instead of having it go this way, the energy is now going that way.
Yeah.
So what I started looking at is and this is based on the fact that on partially on how CERN is created and what they do with it as well, is if you've got these layers that are going positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative because of the expansion, then you have these fissures that actually are crystal in between them. They're displacing this field that's going this way to going this way. So you've got these ley lines that are energetic, literally energetic, right? So in that video just there, I wonder, I mean, I didn't hear whether he said it came from outside of our atmosphere, but that I'm wondering now if we're seeing possible discharges, energetic discharges coming out of like these ley lines, which are then sparking these weather events, light events, electrical events, and things like that. Perhaps even right down to trees combusting because they're also so sick from being poisoned, chemtrails, the bugs that they're getting and stuff like that, the energies that they transpire, like in the ringing cedars, instead of ringing, they're just combusting.
Yeah.
Because you've got to remember, fire is not something burning. it is oxidation happening at its capacity. Something doesn't burn, it's oxidizing, because the thing itself isn't burning, it's oxygen that is doing it. If oxygen is not present, there's no fire. So I'm starting to wonder whether, and a lot of these things go into the ancient stories, which is why I found the petroglyphs that Robert Schoch, that he brought up, because these are creator gods. Those petroglyphs aren't just like figures. A lot of these things to the ancients are creator gods. These are the gods that formed the terra firma that we walk on. And what Robert Schoch brings up is these plasma bursts that possibly happened 50-odd thousand years ago at a certain solar stage. And what we're apparently coming into in the next, we're still in June, in the next 5 to 6 weeks, is we know that the planets don't just circle around like
I listened to Cliff's that section on Cliff's discussion.
If what we're actually in is this funnel thing, what he's saying is all those planets are going to be in a line on the right hand side of that funnel at the solar minimum. So we're going to have our two gas giants that are going to be behind each other, right? So if you've got gas being able to actually get into Earth's atmosphere from behind and plasma discharges from the sun, we have the potential of these aurora borealis and aurora australis happening more frequently, which we've seen.
Which we have seen continuously.
Earthquakes and volcano increasing, and then things in the sky.
I tell you.
But the reason I say it is that when you watch those weather fronts, you actually see a weather front that's going up like that, and then you see this weather front in a straight line that starts building towards it too. And it sort of pop, 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 pop.
We have, like I said, so we've had really good weather this week in Malta and Gozo. It's been cloudy, but it's been lightly breezy, so it's been 30 degrees, but not unbearable. And yesterday, Nick came home and says, we met on the beach, and he says, well, kind of like get your son in now type thing, because there's supposed to be a huge storm coming on Thursday. I'm like, seriously? Really? Huge storm Thursday? Okay. And we're supposed to have, same thing, I got up this morning, and it was marginally a little bit more cloudy in the sky, but it wasn't anything that would make you definitely think storm coming in. Went out this afternoon, and the sky was unbelievable, and we kept trying to stop to take photos. We had like chemtrails with 2 perfect X's in the middle of the sky in chemtrails, number 1. We had another whole section of the sky where it was like 1, 2, 3, 4 in perfect parallel lines of chemtrails. We had massive thunderheads, way high upper atmosphere thunderheads. We had low-level clouds that were so low they looked almost barely distinguishable from fog. They were that low. Then we had the little polka dot clouds that you get when it's just those little, and I've been seeing a lot of that lately on the weird weather. And it was like the whole sky had the chicken pox. And then one section of it, we had like a big circle almost seemingly cut out of it, and yet all around the edges were the little well, I always call them the harp rings. You know, when you get they're like like the waves from the harp being used. And I looked at the sky and I was like, there are 4 completely different types of clouds in the sky right now, all at different altitudes, all over the place, plus a massive shit ton of chemtrails, plus a massive shit ton of what looks like harp. And they're calling that we're supposed to have this epic storm tomorrow, and it could be gale force 8 or 9 winds in June, which is kind of unheard of for this time of year for those kind of winds. But we watched the front come in, like we could see it coming in. And when we took the dog for a walk tonight, we looked, and as the sun was setting, the sky looked oily. And that's the only word I can, Nick was the one who said it. He said, it looks oily, the sky. as if you can see almost like a rainbowish shimmer, almost
Really?
rainbow. The sky around the clouds.
Yeah, it just threw me off. Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's like it was like just oily. That's weird.
It's the only word I can use to describe it. It is the only way I can describe it. It was fucking bizarre. And we sat there and watched, and the wind was cold. And we were like, wow, I guess that storm actually is going to come in. But wow, is it coming in because it's naturally coming in, or are they fucking directing it here? And like I said, masses of chemtrails, masses of, like I said, what I would call signature sort of HARP action in the sky. I don't know. Fucking bizarre.
And that is another thing that Cliff brings in as a potential, and there's a few bits that add to it, and depending on how you look at it, and depending on where you look, of course, depends on how you would put it together. But of course, he's talking about the solar minimum a lot, and he's talking about, of course, this radiation coming in, the Earth reaching capacity and going through an expansion. This expansion having a lull in the ionosphere and magnetosphere, of course, is then reciprocated by a ash layer being put out. And he's sitting there and he postulates the fact that could the chemtrails have been trying to kind of start that sort of cycle up by clouding and creating this atmosphere, dust atmosphere above. Someone put into the chat, so they really that it was up a bit further. I don't know if I'm going to put it. Are they? Oh, why make everything one big fire starter though? I don't know if that is actually their plan per se, because in extinction events, if they have been in reciprocation with one of these events, solar events, plasma events, or the likes, they've wiped out 90% of everything. Cliff starts talking about, and Mr. BB333 has also sort of started talking about the different types of UVs that are being detected on the surface of the planet. One of those being UVCs. UVCs.
Yep.
Which melt ice, and they react with hydrogen, and it absorbs water, and all these different sorts of things. So it kind of is starting to look like, if this is a reality, the natural cycles are transpiring at the same time that the fuckery is transpiring. So certain things like the trees themselves, they have been getting poisoned, they have been but they've also been being affected by these other influences and energies and radiations. We just had, those are the things that we've been taught about in parts, like, you've got to be careful of these UV rays and but we've never really been, unless you're specialized, been taught about the spectrums, what those spectrums
all you
as.
UVA and UVB, that's it.
Actually brought up. Well, yeah, I mean, my internet just dropped out again.
Yeah.
He brought up a thing about the metals being put on boats, coatings on it, because they're more than they were under the white light as opposed to the yellow sun. So
you have to go back and explain that again.
I think there's a lot of...
What do you mean?
Okay, so, well, essentially, on boats, like stainless steel rays like that we're using through the, let's say, 80s and 90s and stuff like that. But now these steels and putting on as steps and stuff like that, step coatings, are getting really hot. So the people that own these fucking back and going, right, this is what's happening, it's overheating. So these boat companies are coming up with these new sealants that them overheat.
A new what? A new paint that lets them not overheat?
Yeah, like a coating or sealant. So instead of being like, oh, we're noticing saying that things are, they're just coming up with new products. So like paints are now coming up with new protectants to solve the problem of paint flaking. Not going, it's because the sun has changed. They're just going,
hey, we've invented a new paint.
UV protectant.
Yeah.
It's actually a correlation of both of these events. Solar, universal, and fuckery.
Yeah, I mean...
Pin the tail on the one donkey, and I think a whole lot of asses being involved. That was a good
There you
one.
go. I'm going to put out Mia's question. Mia's got the best question. It says, so what's the theory? Are we just fucking lab rats here? Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, they come up with
Both. A bit of both.
I was thinking.
Brats and their experiments, and we've forgotten most of what fucking transpires down here, which doesn't help.
Well, I mean, okay, well then, sorry, but that is going to bring up the history thing. I'm going to get into it then. Fine. Force the point there, Ben.
But can I say something though first before?
Yeah, sure, Earl.
Okay, when you guys were talking about, like about the geology, it made me think. Okay, because I remember hearing about the HARP energy and the HARP energy weapons, and I remember someone saying like that messes up with all the stuff that's going on. So I'm wondering, could this all be just like a massive build-up? When you shake something up, like it can pop, eventually it's gotta,
Explode?
Explode. That's my fear. I'm not saying it's gonna be horrific, but I'm just saying, like, there's gotta be a point where something's,
I say that every week, Earl. And do I not say this to you every week? We have a conversation, and I'm like, seriously, it's just gotta fucking pop. It's just gotta fucking pop. So something has gotta fucking give here.
Yeah, what you're saying now. So I was saying that young lady that I was talking to yesterday about, you said something, like I said, something's got to give. And plus, yeah, you mentioned lab rats. I'm nobody. We're no one's lab rats. Well, we're not, anyways.
Well, that's the.
I mean, we're aware of that, anyways. Yeah, it's like, what is it? We do not consent to being lab rats. Put that way.
Yes, we don't. No, absolutely not. But I'm going to bring up this thing that Philippe posted in the Unfuckers group on history stuff. Hopefully I've still got it open here. Give me a second. I got to close all the thousands of messages. Holy crap, they're everywhere. I want to read one piece of it. And he talks about the game. And that's what I want to read. I'm just going to find. Okay, so I'm going to read just the opening bit where it talks about this 1953. Okay. World history created in 1953 as a virtual computer game, ? Andre, I'm not even going to try and say his last name, Igor, feel free to jump in and correct it. So, chief editor of the newspaper President wrote, okay, on the date March 1st, 1953, our entire game was first launched, with all its inhabitants, including people, animals, plants, etc. All the characters of this game on the specific date were animated, or rather printed already as required by the terms of the game. Now, I'm going to give you this, sorry, I should say, this article is a Google Translate out of Russian. So some of these sentences are not necessarily going to flow. And hopefully Igor is here and he can maybe come back and double verify some of these sentences for us because I have questions. All the characters of this game on this specific date were animated, or rather printed already as required by the terms of the game. That is, our parents and grandfathers by the time of their appearance in the game were already old. Buildings and premises already existed. The roads were laid and aged, and so on. The ultra-short history begins with the date March 1st, 1953. Thus, our world is only 65 years old. In this book, I will not give evidence of an ultra-short chronology. And I'm not sure if that's just a bad translation, and it means that he will give evidence of the ultra-short chronology. To begin with, in a few strokes, I will decipher the very mechanism of formation of the ultra-short world. It consists in the following. March 1st, 1953 is the date of the creation of our world, and in that form as we use it to observe it. And those of his qualities, and with those of his qualities, which we are accustomed to take into account and perceive. From this date, the material 3D world began, in which we live today. This material three-dimensional world is formed by a computer, a supercomputer inside it. That is, our material three-dimensional world is an installation that is inside a computer. And this machine has a much larger number of dimensions and can easily support the game, which for us is very real life. On the date March 1st, our entire game was launched with all its inhabitants. Hold on. So this repeats again how everything, the roads were laid and aged and so on. It is for this reason that there are no documents, educational institutions, architects, construction mechanisms that on the whole planet simultaneously and standardly erected the buildings of so-called colonial architecture. There are no steel mills that supplied armor for the armadillo of the 18th century. There are no schools, no teachers, no educational programs for which ancient Rush X 12 centuries has reached almost 100% literacy. There are no such things. Now, there's a whole pile of stuff in this. Now, this is a long read, and like I said, unfortunately, it is a Google Translate. So there's certain sentences that come through and you're not quite certain what it is he's trying to get across. But here's the thing. About a year and a half ago, Igor brought me a link to an article. And Igor, I don't know if your internet is going to support you coming out or not, talking on this fucking show.
Yeah, I'm fine now.
Okay, good.
Hopefully. And if there is a failure, I'll come under my mother's name from mother's iPad. So if you see Russian letters entrance, it's
I
me.
saw that earlier, and I thought, oh, that must be Igor signing in with someone else's account.
Yeah, that's right.
You sent me a link, and you said you have to read this. And it was a KGB scientists?
Research. Ordered, commissioned by KGB at the very end of the Soviet period, around 1990 it was, or something like this.
Yeah, it was like the late 80s, early 90s. I remember that. Basically postulating that this world, this reality started in 1953. That they had backtracked it.
The direct translation from the way he puts it in Russian is this world started in 1953, May 1st. So
May
he
1st or March
1st? He talks about, oh, sorry, March 1st. March
Okay.
1st, yeah. But he basically talks about this world, where we are. He doesn't talk about timelines or, this world. That's it.
And that was the question Igor and I asked. Was kind of like, okay, throwing on the table all the discussions that we've fucking had over the last years, that we have jumped from timeline to timeline to timeline, that we've jumped from different dimensions, etc. The researchers who did this study, in whatever timeline they were on, was it that specific timeline that they were able to track back to 1953? Or was it literally the reality of the 3D world itself tracked back to 1953? Because we've discussed this. We've discussed this fucking theory a shit ton of times. We've discussed the fact that this is some kind of realm of a simulation, etc., etc. So it always seems to me that whenever we start looking at stuff and we start broad spectrum looking at a whole shit ton of stuff, yeah, exactly. Man in the High Castle, good example, right? Another piece comes out. So when Igor had sent me this piece, we always meant to go back into it and try and do some more research and see if there was anything else we could find on it. And then, of course, you know, shit comes up and more shit comes up. And next thing you know, you're completely distracted and you forget about it. And then a year and a half later, this article comes out. So
well, your internet is fucking unstable. But when we talk about a computer, what do we mean? Because I've started like I posted in the chat earlier on, and it was a picture of a friend who's just recently passed away. And there's a quote in there, and he's talking about the discovery of this new solar thing, and this new solar, and it creates its own sugars, and it keeps reproducing itself. But what he's talking about is the human being, and we've talked about programming. And in that thing, they talk about creating this program in 1953. And I'm wondering if be literally coded in Word, and it's been programming our sugars and whatnot. And if that is kind of computer itself, is the words and that side of it, or whether it's literally, you know, consider a computer what I'm talking to you on sitting on my table.
Well, okay, so here's the question, okay, and you bring up the question, and the problem is, as I think we all have fall downs when we look at this, and one of the fall downs we all have is the word computer, because we're always going to take whatever reference point that we have in our life, and we're going to broad spectrum apply that to that word. So for us, someone says computer, we immediately say, it's this thing that's in front of me. It's this thing that's beside me. It's this thing that I have in my pocket. It's this thing that we read about in, you know, about supercomputers and all the rest of it. But that does not mean that that's what a computer is. As far as when we're talking about advanced technology, it doesn't necessarily mean that. A computer is a word that we use to just to describe a somewhat familiar function for most of us. When we talk about AI, which he brings up AI obviously in this article as, you know, the thing that's running the computer, this artificial intelligence. Again, we immediately equate that to what we know as AI in this day and age, what we've been programmed to accept as, all the media push, all the movies, all this kind of stuff that's been put out. It does not necessarily mean that that's what it is. What is it? The three laws. Any technology that's significantly advanced enough is going to appear as magic, right? Any advanced computers are going to appear to us as something that's unexplainable to us, because we think in terms of computers as to what we are familiar with. What is artificial intelligence? Yeah, fake news. Yeah. So this is the piece. I keep coming back to it. So we have little bits and pieces. Now, the other interesting piece, because of course we've talked about history for years now. We've talked about things like Flamenco's chronology series and all these different, the amount of history that's now being released, that's coming out, that people are coming out and saying, yeah, that never took place. this whole chunk of history never existed. These guys are with the same guy 300 years apart, so take 300 years out of here, etc. One of the pieces that he talks about in this is that apparently in Russia, all the information, all the background information to, is it, it's not just Nicholas II, it was, hold on, if I can try and find it. Oh my God, I've got to scroll through this. Sorry, everyone, just give me a quick second. I'm trying to find the actual article that was talking about. Damn it. Basically, that whole section of history, the entire section of history that dealt with Tsar Nicholas, Lenin, etc., the files, the historical files with all the actual information of what happened are locked and closed to forever. It's not like, you remember like the JFK files and they were locked and closed and that they would become open in like 30 years or 40 years or whatever it was. These files are closed forever. They will never ever release the information. And what this guy's basically getting to is basically, if all the historical information of what actually happened has been locked and closed, then basically that entire history is subject to be completely questioned. Every single aspect of it. Now, this happens in everything. We talk about it all the time. History is written by the victor. Now, if we have something like this coming up, again, this question coming up again about living in a simulation. This is a simulation. History can be written however they want it to be. And there's a couple of pieces in here that talks about history. And again, it was something like, you know what, I'd almost need you to we'll have to sit down maybe tomorrow and discuss it, because the translation is so bad that
Sure.
I need to verify, because it sounds like what he's saying is, it sounds as if he's alluding to the fact that all pieces, time, epochs, if you will, of history are running simultaneously. And that there are these characters in history that are actually here as well, but they're in other parts of history, i.e. they were in the Napoleon army, or they were in, the Mongolian hordes, etc. But these are all running simultaneously. That's, like I said, I need you to actually read it for me and clarify.
That's my impression as well. That's my impression of what he's saying as well. But I have to read the article again. I haven't actually finished reading it, Danny. But can I just add something about St. Petersburg? Can you hear me?
Yes, please do.
In addition, what reinforces his statement is the fact that there is no technical documentation, no drawings, nothing of technological nature in terms of documentation that supports the construction of the main landmarks of St. Petersburg, the biggest landmarks like St. Isaac's Cathedral, Alexandrian Column, etc. So the biggest, the ones which alternative historians and sound engineers insist we don't have this technology to build it even now. So how was it built? Nobody can explain. And at the same time, the whole history, the whole story, the whole narrative about the construction of those main landmarks is ridiculous. It just doesn't withstand any criticism. And there are no drawings, there is nothing, there is no technological documentation on them whatsoever. And they never explain where this documentation is. There is no reference to, say, a fact that it got burnt in a fire of, let's say, 1855 or whatever. They just It's like
It's just
they don't
gone.
know where they've gone to. They're just gone somewhere. And it's like and they don't know when and in what circumstances. So that's the point.
Okay, so this is the thing that popped up for me, and you guys are all gonna laugh because when I was reading this and I said it, and I'm reading out sections out loud to Nick while Nick's doing some work, and I'm reading out some pieces. And I get to this section, I said, the first piece that comes to my mind, and we have all seen the pictures of certain Hollywood stars who look exactly like historical paintings of people from like the 1700s, the 1800s, and I don't mean a little bit. I mean fucking exactly. I mean, some of them are a stretch. Some of them you kind of go, yeah, no, you're kind of stretching here. But some of them, you just sit there and you go, you can't tell me it's a different person. You right? It's so looks so obviously. So I'm just gonna pull this up. Just give me a quick second here.
Like Sinbad looking like Sylvester Stallone.
No, I wasn't thinking about that one.
I've seen that one.
Hold on, I'm trying to look like maybe someone of you guys can pull it up because I'm having issues. I don't want to pull up too many things right now because my internet's getting a little fucking crazy. The one is the guy from Game of Thrones. What's his last name? Dinklage. He looks so much like. I'm trying to see if I can find the picture of him because it was just freaky. No, it's not there. Maybe someone else can find it. So this is the one I was just going to show you. So find Zoom. There's Zoom. Share screen. Okay. So a couple of these are seriously on the money, and like the Nicolas Cage one. I mean, the guy's even got the exact same eyebrows. Okay, some of these are exactly same thing. You look at these two, Rupert Grint. Not so much. Some of them, like I say, are like meh. Okay, this one here, Bruce Willis and Douglas MacArthur. Holy shit! I'm sorry. Okay, so you go through some of these pictures, and of course, one of the most famous one is the Keanu Reeves one. Okay, and this one here with this is Jack Black, and this is a magazine for the Barber of Seville and opera. I mean, I'm sorry, it's like even his fucking smile, and that's hysterical. One, of course, one of the big famous ones. I think the one that probably started it all off is, of course, the Keanu Reeves. And there's several pictures of Keanu Reeves from different eras. From like the 1700s, the 1800s, and the 1900s, there's pictures of Keanu Reeves that I've seen that he looks the same. So that was the very first thing that popped into my head about this whole thing of like, well, if all these epochs, eras of history are all running simultaneously and you're in all of them. We've talked about our fractals, haven't we? We've talked about the fact that we have all these fractals that we've seen in different places, et cetera, doing shit. And Fred, you're absolutely right. Lookalike should also be because of the rinse and repeat cycle. There's only so many rinse and repeats that they can, put facial features on. Absolutely. It's just when we keep looking at we look at some of these pieces, and I just sit there and go, I'm back to looking at this again and saying, okay, history keeps changing. They keep trucking changing history every single time we turn around. Shit tons of more Mandela effects, shit tons of more historical changes, things. Someone just posted another one from World War II about a bombing that took place in the U.S. And I'm sorry, there wasn't a single person in the UnFuckers room would ever. Sorry, there was the bombing that took place against the black community in the U.S. And no one has heard of it. And yet apparently it was like 10,000 people were lost their homes. Like this is a mad, insane thing that apparently happened in the 50s or the 40s or the 50s. So we're saying, Ben, we'll see you later, Ben. Ben's got to run out, guys. These things, we keep seeing the changes, and the one thing that I always come back to is the fact of like, well, if it is a computer simulation by the reasoning of what we would call a computer, They go in, they load up a new mod. They go in, they load up, they decide to change history a little bit. We're going to change up this cycle that's going over here. We'll just change that up and move it somewhere else. Which also explains, and I'm sorry to say, but the whole religious phenomena. Where you have, like you have Horus, and you have Mithras, and you have Christ, and they're all exactly the same guy. They're all born the same day. They're born of a virgin mother. They have 13 apostles. They fucking got executed and raised from the dead 3 days later, and all of a sudden, well, if they're running the same loop, they're running the same scenario, but they're doing it in different time epochs to test a theory, to I don't know, like we say, we're lab rats, right? They're testing it all out. If we play this scenario out here in the 1800s, and we'll play the same scenario out here in the 1200s, and we'll play the same scenario in 250 AD BC, and we'll play the same one out in 2018, and run them all simultaneously. What does that make us, Jenny? It makes us fucking lab rats. That's what it makes us. But I go back to the whole Westworld thing. If we're stuck in here and we're all of a sudden waking up, is it through all the trauma? Are we real? Yeah, I'm real. You're fucking real. I know you're real, Jenny. I know I'm fucking real. I know Anne's fucking real. I know Gail's fucking real.
I know you're fucking real. I know I'm fucking real.
I'm talking about people who I've actually shook, like hugged and all the rest of it, right? Physically, like, I know we're real. We know we're real. What is consciousness? Consciousness doesn't fucking take into that consideration, right? We're real. We're waking up. And it goes back to, like I said, the Westworld idea. Is it because of is that part of the experiment? Enough trauma, horror, trials and tribulations, etc., to force consciousness to actually become self-evident, become awake, and wake up outside of the simulation? Background people, I totally fucking get background people. They're just fillers. It's just like a video game. And I fucking, seriously, all the time, I go back to this all the time, because so many people I meet, and you just look at them, and like I say, you just go, they're not there. There's no one there. There is not even a spark of anyone there. They are just, what's
empty.
You guys,
empty.
No, but there's a word that you guys use, non-something player,
non-real player. Basically a non-real player.
No, there's like the initials.
NPC, non-player character.
Non-player character, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I was trying to get to. Non-player character. And that's it. And we all met these people and their background. And I honestly more and more think that that's what our politicians are. Our politicians are just bots in the fucking program. And they do what they're told. They just do what they're told. They download the next piece of program into them, and they fucking just, that's the way they do it.
There's an anime called Sword Art Online. It's actually based on the game, where someone has took over this, there's this big virtual game everyone, almost everyone gets into. But some guy takes over the program and ends up locking people into it. And if you get killed in the virtual game, you die in the real world. So could that be what we're in? I don't know. But my one other theory is that maybe someone built this computer program, okay, because something happened. Let's say Clinton won, and all hell went one way, and it really went bad for
she got into office and pressed the big red button the next day.
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, so this is why I'm thinking, like, because remember there was a point where many people were saying, wow, I saw Hillary win. The thing said Hillary won, and then it flipped to freaking Trump. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, Fred, what Fred just said, okay? What if there are actually only a finite number of real people or consciousnesses, if that's such a word, consciousnesses, they get repeated via the incarnations, i.e. exactly, they're real people, and it's like, okay, we're going to put you over here with Genghis Khan, and we're going to put another one of you over here marching with Napoleon, and another one of you is going to be over here in fucking, I don't know, Tibet in the early 500 AD, and someone else, and you're going to have another one of you is going to be over here with, right? If there's only an infinite amount, which could be the reason why, if there's an infinite amount of people, or sorry, a finite amount of people, consciousness, etc., is that why they got to run all the simulations at the same time? Because you've only got so many. You can't spread them out over the whole thing, because maybe you have to have a certain balance between the non-player controlled, wait, I didn't say that right, NPCs, right? NPCs?
Yep.
Bots.
Yep.
Okay, like, you know, maybe there's a ratio between bots to real people that you have to maintain. The computer or the simulation must maintain. So let's say it's like 1 real person to every 5 bots. So you can't have you can't make an entire epoch of time up of nothing but bots, because you wouldn't gain anything from it, because you have no consciousness aspect to it. So you've got to place someone in there.
So
and Crazy Crone, yeah, that's exactly what I talk about. Is that is this what we're doing in Dreamtime? Is we're seeing the other fucking ones of us in another place doing other shit.
So I had this other theory.
Sorry, Fred, what was that?
I was letting Earl. While you were reading, I wanted to take the opportunity, and it just went right through my brain. Damn it! Okay, the rinse and repeat. What was the last phrase you said? The last phrase you said. Before
there has to be a certain amount of consciousnesses or real people compared to bots, like the ratios.
Okay, let's say if we postulate that we are a finite numbers of consciousnesses, one thing that would actually, it's a question that I'll put out to everybody, including you guys watching this on YouTube, watching the video. Please, leave an impression on comments. Leave your take in the comment section. How many people do you actually know around you? I mean, physically around you, where you live, people whom you interact with daily. How many of them do you feel are real, organic consciousness, as opposed to what we could call NPC, whatever, backdrop, fillers? Because we talk to each other, but we're fucking spread out around the world. We've got the planet covered. Even if it's flat, for fuck's sake, we still got it covered. But we're spread out. I don't know anyone where I live. Not one. I was really giving it a bad, long, deep thought today. And I realized that there is not one name I can name that I could say, I'm 100% sure this person is definitely organic consciousness. I can vouch for the people speaking with right now, right here. But we're all over the fucking place.
Yep.
And that's why I want to dump the questions further and have reactions. I mean, I will be reading the comments on YouTube as well, because I do also. And I want to know how is it for you guys out there?
You know what? For me, I'm telling you, Fred, I've told you. There's a little guy who works in our supermarket, and he's fucking real. He's as real as they come. He's awesome. He's delightful. And everyone else is nice, but they're not real. There's a girl who works at the ice cream shop who's an absolute sweetheart. She is, same thing. She's delightful, and she shines. She shines. That's it. Like, she just shines. And you sit there and you go, oh, yeah, you're fucking real. All the other girls who work there are just as nice. They're always, because they know us all, and oh, the kids, and what are you guys doing? But they're not real. And this is, you go through it, and you look, and when you start to, and I'm sorry, because a lot of people take offense to this. A lot of people take offense, and they say that this is a perpetuation of the us versus them meme, or the divisionary meme. I'm sorry, that's not what it is. It's not. There are people who are real, and personal opinion, there are those who are soulless. They don't have that spark of consciousness there. They don't, and I think that even in the NPCs, in the kind of bot thing, there's even levels to that. There are ones who
Right. I
are
want
really background people. Like you look at them, and it's like they sit there and they just sweep the sidewalk, and that's all they do. Like they're that far in the background that they don't even pretend to be able to interact with you. That's how far in the background they are.
There's
yeah,
even
I wanted to say that real quick. Sorry, Earl. Or was it Earl or sorry?
Yeah, it was me.
I did have a big issue. The first times I ran across these what if, the background people, etc. Believe me, I had huge issues with that. It felt so not right to think of other humans that are flesh and bones just like me, and that could be actually not the same consciousness-wise. I had a big issue. I thought it was a terrible thing to think. I thought it was horrible, and I had a huge knee-jerk reaction, probably caused by programmings actually and belief systems. But I don't think these people, like you say, there are various levels. I have met, like you say, people who are absolutely soulless. Clearly, you look in their eyes. Always look at the eyes. You look into their eyes, there is nothing. There's no life. They're literally a meat suit in action. Other people have a degree of consciousness. There are people who may even, I don't know, somehow become conscious, more really organically conscious. I believe it's entirely possible. I don't know. The options are open. But I don't, I just want to add that as per, yes, the knee-jerk reaction to hearing someone say, there are organically conscious people, and then we have these bots, and especially when I heard the word bots, I'm like, oh, no, I can't say that about my fellow humans.
Yeah.
You get to that conclusion at some point. You really go there.
Well, and it's funny because we're talking about everyone, the whole chat's going on about family. Most of my family, and by that I mean my sister is a fucking bot. My mom is a bot. I know she is. I know they are. My aunts, most of my cousins, I know they are. I know they are. It's like one of those things where you just go, oh my God, because you can't, for me, I can't even have a conversation with them. They're so not there. And I have one cousin and one aunt, and I have my dad. And I have another cousin on my other side of the family. And as far as I'm concerned, is for most of my family, and I have hundreds of people in my family. That's pretty much it. I don't think that there are actually a very lot, if you talk about ratios, I said 1 in 4. I don't even think it's 1 in 10. I think it's more like 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 people. Maybe 1 in a million. Because
Jenny,
Teresa.
It's Teresa. Hey, sweetie, I just thought of a question, and it may just be where I am at in my own present moment. I don't know, but listening closely to what you guys are saying, because when you just mentioned about like almost everybody around you, something really jolted in me because, but again, it might be my own reality presently. Because I've been working a lot, and I'm always working on what the hell's ego and lower mind and all this kind of crap, trying to figure out what the fuck's wrong with everybody. Anyway, in reference to this, is there, and somebody just put in the chat something about a spark or a possibility, and this is what brought me up to say this, is it, do you think there's a correlation there? Do you think there's something there in this and actually, fighting the devil within, figuring out the evil, all that. Do you think there's something connected here with the bot? Well, I never said bot. I've always been quiet about that, but I get it though. I get it because especially when Fred said, everybody around you, I started thinking about the people that I'm around at this present moment, and so often you feel so totally, utterly alone. It just makes you wonder, is it somehow connected to the higher consciousness within us, or the lower mind, the lower, I don't even know if you want to call it organic, because it can create so much evil, which is what we're all seeing.
Or is it just programming? What we call the lower mind, is it just the programming that's put upon us?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up that possible correlation there because of someone saying maybe the spark would happen. Because, I don't know. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there.
We don't know. None of this do we know. We have no answers. Fuck, God knows we have no fucking answers. But is that part, to throw a piece on the table, is that part of the experiment? To see if the bots can attain a certain amount of consciousness, or can actually generate a spark in themselves as well, to all of a sudden click over, if you will, and attain consciousness. I don't know. It's a thought that I've had.
Well, think about the evil. The evil atrocities that we all know about, okay? Is that person that, okay, for instance, I don't know, just take a serial killer. I don't fucking know. How much
they're part of the program. I think they're part of the program. This has been huge for me for the last 2 months. That these Hillary Clintons and these fucking Bushes and your Tony Blairs and your fucking Stephen Harpers and your fucking Malcolm Turnbulls and all of these guys, I think they're actually part of the program. Like they're not even like, they're the functional background bots. They're the functional ones that are directly mainlined into whatever it is that's controlling them, and they just do whatever the fuck they're told. Because I do not believe for 1 second, not even 1% do I believe, that anyone who is a real human being with we'll call it a soul for lack of a better fucking word, with consciousness, can do these things that they do. I do not believe that anyone who truly has a soul, truly has that spark, has a greater level, a true consciousness level, can actually do this shit that we hear about. These horrifying rituals and child sacrifices and these fucking wars where they go in and they bomb all these people and they mass murder and genocide and all the rest of it. Those people who press that button, who do those things, are not human. They are not human. I will fucking... there's no fucking way.
Danny, I think, you're really onto something, because the genius of that, I was trying to connect it with consciousness, but the truth is, if you really think about it, and we say that sometimes, the psychology of human evil can be so atrociously genius that it has to be a fucking program. Or it has to be something running it. Like how the hell could they have gotten away with the types of stuff that they have done, to get us to consent to things that we weren't even aware of. The depths of it really kind of makes you wonder that it has to be AI or something running it. Wow.
And this is an argument. Oh my God, Nick and I have debated this for fucking 20 years. I did not change your name, Fred. It was not me. It was John. John did it. I blame John. We've had a debate for 20 years on this exact subject. And I've always stated to the fact of, you could never run an experiment because there's no clean slate. Everyone has programming. And anyone, I said, other than taking, I remember having this one probably about 10 years ago, and other than taking 100 children and putting them in a dome where they're completely isolated, where they're left to grow up by themselves with no outside influence of religion, propaganda, social programming, etc., could you ever run an experiment to see if humans could be truly evil. Because you can't. And that's just my own gut. That's my own gut. I have nothing to back that up with. That's just my own gut. I honestly don't believe that anyone who's truly human can do these things that they do. And to me, my only response is either A, they're just part of the program and they're just running they're running the program that's being fed into them. Even to the point of politicians. Even to the point of politicians, when you hear about all these politicians lining their pockets. Lining their pockets. And I've said for years and years, when you get into the political debates, that no one who actually has any sense of morality, who have any sense of real intention to do good, ever becomes a high enough level politician to be able to do anything. But you know what? I honestly think that the only way you get that high is to be one of the bots. That's how you get to be a politician. Because you can't tell me that every single politician on the planet is willing to allow children to die because of vaccines out of the greed and just lining their own pockets. They would allow fucking chemtrails to happen and kill people that way, etc., and all this fucking experimentation. They got to live on this planet too. Their families have to live on this planet too. Their future families have to live on this planet too. So are they really that greedy that they will take all the money and turn a blind eye, even though knowing that their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren will suffer the repercussions 100% of the time? No.
Don't forget, too, we're dealing with how many psychopaths that are kind of doing this. It's not even a shit ton of them, technically. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. It's just they're all psychopaths, so they don't care. Basically, they don't care.
Good.
They have,
That's what I think makes a psychopath.
They have no heart connection, or they have no sense of heart.
A sociopath, a psychopath, all these paths, if you want to call them.
Well, it's the mind virus. It's the mind virus. It infects people. And then unfortunately, other people end up having to work for people like this, and they'll get triggered into either, succumbing to it or, deciding, who they are inside. And unfortunately, most people succumb because that inner voice is so drowned out, I guess.
But that's
I can't imagine.
Go ahead, Dawn.
I can't imagine people that have a real spirit don't have that inner voice. I think, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I don't think they do. If they don't have the inner spirit, they don't got no inner voice. They have no inner greater consciousness.
That's what I mean. And then you've got people running all these companies that have the mind virus, and it spreads. It spreads. So that's what I think.
So where's the reboot button? Where's the reboot button, guys?
Well, you know what? This is my thing. So I created that group in the Unfuckers Unite site. And I created a secondary group that I want to make it like a working group. And we just haven't had a chance to really, we've all been exhausted. I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking so exhausted all the time. I want to get into that group and start doing some shit. Like, let's brainstorm some shit. Even if it is putting out a single thought. And that's why I loved Fred's idea of like the Build-A-Burger meetings coming up. So I don't know, maybe we can all send the thought that they're all going to have massive diarrhea or something. Or really, really loud explosive farts. Something stupid. Something like whatever. And just like put it out there and like literally be like, all of you guys watching the video, just think about the Build-A-Burger meeting and pick something ridiculous. Like they all get nosebleeds at the same time. Or they all get Tourette's at the same time. Yeah, there we go. Let's make them all get Tourette's at the same time. And
explosive diarrhea and a whole shit ton of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And we're back to talking about shit again. Every episode. Yeah, and that's kind of one thing I want to do in the workroom is I want to get people together and start doing a few things. That let's do some conscious changes. Like let's try and say, okay, look, well, we're going to work on this, even if it's a point of meeting up in other time, for lack of a better word. And I've gone all out of focus, and I have no. My hands aren't in. There we go. Bring it back. There we go. Yeah, they probably love the smell of farts. Farts and Tourette's. There we go.
But what we're seeing now, though, is there's a change in the program where they can't do anything. Like there is this weird change where before they could do any freaking thing they wanted, but now they can't. They've been trying. I've been thinking. I thought about this last night about the 3 World Wars, right? I started thinking, well, I was thinking about the War of 1812. And I'm sort of like, okay, so because it was multiple countries in that war and multiple places during that war. So I'll take that as World War One. The war of World War One would be World War Two. World War Three would be, the World War Two that, but these other wars and all that, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, that was one of my thoughts.
Just fucking one war just leading into the next war, leading into the next war. Marilyn, to clarify, coming together with ideas to shift the world. Also, let's run our own experiment. That's kind of where my thought was when I made the group, was like, let's run some of our own experiments. Now, we always talk about we are shifting things and we're creating things, etc. So I want to give an example because this was a really big one that hit me up the back of the head. A friend of mine actually sent me a message that slapped me in the back of the head, made me laugh. What have we been screaming for on all these shows for like 3-4 years? Transparency. I mean, it really started in 2013 when we were like, we want the transparency, make it fucking transparent. We want to see it all, bring it out, let's make it all visible. And what's happening right now? We have massive transparency, like the likes of which I never ever thought that we would see. Like I said, it's spin doctored by the media to kind of, but it's still being put out there. So, if we can put forth the supposition that we are the ones who created this transparency coming forward, so let's work on the next piece. And whatever it is, like I said, what can we all kind of concentrate on? Run our own little experiments to see what we can influence. What can we influence, and how far can we influence it? And Tourette's and the shits at the Build-A-Burger meeting, I think, is an excellent start. I don't know, Pamela. Anne, I don't know if maybe you can answer this one. Pamela just said, before the meeting ends, how do I counteract the effects of a steroid shot? I stupidly accepted a shot for my knee, and it has sent me in a difficult place mentally and emotionally. Any suggestions? Pamela, I'm sorry. I don't really know anything about the cortisone and steroid shot.
I'm going to suggest cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. You're awesome, and I love you.
I love you, too.
Oh, yeah, pro-cannabis. Yeah, I mean, whatever helps. I'd say whatever helps,
Okay, well, hold on. I want to hear from Anne.
I think Dawn's suggestion was a good one. I couldn't suggest anything without having more information. But, so Pam, if you want to send me a message, you can. But I think Dawn's suggestion is probably a good one.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the corticosteroid shots that I know, the ones that they give for knees and wrists and that. I just don't know enough about them to be able to really give any advice one way or another. How long do they last? I know they usually have a limit of like a couple of months for most people.
Well, what it does is that when it wears out of your system, it can make you really emotional and grumpy and just not feeling good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, you know, find some cannabis. Don't get any sativa though. Try to get a more balanced strain, but they'll do wonders for you. Really, because that's really the only way out.
Yeah.
There's nothing else healthier to do, in my opinion, when you're dealing with that.
But you might be slightly biased.
Well, of course. Of course. I mean, you're looking at the girls on every freaking psych med known to man. I've been medicated since I was in my 20s. I mean, really, I've been in 5 rehabs. I have been tested out the ass. I'm like the worst of the worst. And, yeah, you know, there's no hope for her. But, you know the normal stuff.
For off date Monday. Oh,
I'm on speaker.
Good, are you?
I'm sorry, y'all. She's talking. I'm trying to talk. Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about. Ruined it.
You went through all this shit. You came out the other side, and
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It can be done. You know, I am proof positive of it because they would have never given me any hope ever. I was lost. So.
Fucking mosquitoes. Fuck off.
Anybody can come back from that. Anybody.
Yep. I agree. Which is why they work so hard to make sure that people can't get the medicine they need. Always. It's fucking ridiculous.
And, you know, and all those, all the psychiatric meds, you know, when taken long term, you know, shrink the brain. So you're going to die early. And none of that was meant to be long term. And they'll tell you that you can't regenerate, you know, neurons in the brain, which is bullshit. Cannabis regenerates all that and, you know, allows you to form new neural pathways. I mean, it's quite remarkable how well one can bounce back.
Yep. As Ann and I say all the time, the human body is an amazing fucking thing. The fact that we have gone through the shit that we have gone through and that we are here talking, able to have lucid conversations and do the work that we do, considering everything that's been done to us, all the vaccines, all the fucking chemtrails, the fluoride, the fucking heavy medications, the frontal lobotomy that happens through the education system, et cetera, and we just keep bouncing back. And we just keep, we have our moments and we stumble and we have to deal with a lot of shit, but all things considered, wow. These suits here that we're wearing are pretty functional. Pretty damn functional.
Yeah, they're okay for what they are, but I still feel limited.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's like, you know, I thought about this. It's like I really don't want to be here a lot of the time, just in, you know, just existence. I hate having to hate having to eat sometimes.
Okay, before we go, so I got one last question I need to bring up because this is a conversation again I've had with umpteen dozen people especially in the last couple of months. Number one, we talked about food. And I'm back to the same thing. I don't want to fucking eat. No one in my house wants to fucking eat. Except for my youngest, but he's got hollow legs and he just wants to eat all the time. And he's that big, right? Everyone else, I mean, food just doesn't really interest me. Like you eat because you have to eat. I made pizza for dinner tonight, and it should have been the type of thing like everyone in the house should have been like, "Ooh, Mom's making pizza." When I got like some really good Sicilian sausage to go on it, and mushrooms and peppers and sautéed onions, and you know what? I made 5 pizzas. They're about yay big, and we have an entire pizza and a half, almost 2 full pizza left over. Everyone ate. maybe 2 little pieces like this, and that was it. They I couldn't believe how much food, and I honestly thought there wouldn't be enough food to go around. No one wants to eat. No one feels like eating. I've been eating almost continuously salad since as soon as summer hit. It's like I'm on my salad binge, right? Salad like twice a day. I can't be bothered eating anything else. I don't want to eat heavy food. I made pasta last night and almost threw up. And yet, there seems to be 2 things going on, and it is either almost everyone I've spoken to is either gained weight, and like 10 pounds is just seemingly randomly it fucking appeared, or can't lose any weight, no matter what you or how little you actually eat, or vice versa. Few people who cannot gain weight, and they've lost a shit ton of weight, and they cannot gain anything back. And it's like there seems to be almost like the 2 separate places. And I'm looking at in our own family. I have this weight. I have this inner tube thing that kind of goes around my belly. I walk all the time. I've been living for weeks on fucking salad with like a barbecue chicken breast cut up with it. I don't do the sugars other than like a teaspoon of sugar that goes in my cup of coffee. With the amount of exercise and stuff that I'm doing, any other time, I would be shedding weight right now. Like just not happening. My daughter Quinlan works out 4 nights a week. Her diet is really good. It's really, really healthy. She cannot lose weight at all, no matter what she does. Everyone around me has had these. Even people who you overhear conversations, and people are like, "I can't I've got like 15 pounds I need to lose, and I can't. It doesn't matter what I do, I can't lose it." So, is this something that everyone's experiencing as well? Like the whole thing of like just not wanting to eat? Yeah, but Mia, the same type of thing. Okay, granted, like I love chocolate ice cream. In the summer, I'm a chocolate ice cream addict. It's hot, I'm going to have chocolate ice cream. That still doesn't account for everything else. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at your overall stuff, I can't eat. I literally cannot tell you how many days of the week it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I am fucking starving. And I will get up from my desk and go to the kitchen. And you open the fridge and you close the fridge. And you open a cupboard and you close the cupboard. And you look on the counter and go, yeah, no, I can't be bothered. And we'll literally go back to my desk with my stomach literally grumbling and making the most horrific noises and being like, yeah, I can't be bothered. I just don't want to. There's nothing there that I want to eat.
Me, I skip lunch. Like, I don't care for lunch. I'll eat breakfast, I'll eat dinner, but I don't care for lunch. And I'm like with that, about watching stuff. I know I want to watch something, but I don't know what the frick I want, I want to watch. It's like, I'll go on Netflix, I'll be like, who's that? But no. Or, oh, that, no. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the boredom everywhere. That's literally the boredom thing. Yeah, so I wanted to put that out there. You guys, anyone who's watching the video afterwards, I'd like to hear from you guys. Like, if you're going through this whole thing too with the eating thing and the weight thing, to the one extreme or the other, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's the thing too.
Right,
It's like,
hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Amina?
Oh, okay.
Do you think it's got something to do with the magnetic fields or going a bit weird?
I don't know. That
where on the equator you're lighter, and the further away from the equator you get, you're a different weight. You're heavier.
And no, because that I was actually talking about that a couple of weeks ago, and we made that joke. I was like, so should we jump on a plane, like weigh ourselves in Malta, and then go fly down to like Nigeria and get ourselves weighed there, and then fly up to like Iceland and get ourselves weighed there and then fly down to like Antarctica, like just for shits and giggles, and get weighed there. I don't know. And is it a symptom of geomagnetic fuck-uppery, right? Like, it's just like that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I got no ideas.
Hey, Danny, I'm not gonna say much about this, but I can't help wondering if I can't help wondering. Thank you. I can't help wondering though if the GMO foods isn't making it harder for us to lose.
Yeah, but like,
those
and
killers.
absolutely. But for example, us here, like, we're eating, like, our family, we farm fresh fucking vegetables that were picked in the morning. And it's not genetically modified. It's like actual real food. And like, I get my eggs are like free range eggs that I get from my farmer in the morning that came from his dad's farm. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, sure. It was just a thought.
No, no, because I've taken that into the equation, because you would sit there and go, okay, if I was in Canada, then I would be like, oh man, what the fuck are they putting in our food? Oh, look, my internet connection is unstable. You know, in Canada, I'd be asking myself that question, except that it's not Canada. I'm living in a place where I can actually buy bread, oh my God, that goes stale in a day and a half because it doesn't have all the preservatives in it. It's literally flour, water, yeast, and a teaspoon of sugar. That's it. And it is stale in a day and a half after you've bought it.
That's awesome, though.
Because there's nothing in it, right?
Do you make breadcrumbs out of it before it can go stale? Or
if it's wintertime, I make all kinds of crap out of it. I make bread pudding. That's one of my big go-tos. I make all kinds of bread pudding in the wintertime for the kids out of all the stale bread.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
We make savory bread pudding and sweet bread pudding, and sometimes in a day you'll have one of each.
You're such a good mama.
No, it's called I'm really, really cheap, and I'm not going to throw away a loaf of stale bread if I can do something else with it.
Well, but you're taking the time and you're bothering to do that. That's fantastic. Most moms would throw it away, throw the stale bread away. Yeah. And so.
Well, I'm part Scottish, you know.
So am I.
I'm part Scots. I can't throw fucking anything away. Are you kidding me? It was a joke. I was laughing about that because last night we were like, it was gonna have food, and it was like, oh, okay, well, I've got pork chops. Okay, I'll marinate those and we'll just barbecue them. And I was like, fucking salad night. Yeah, salad night. And you think something like, we're just gonna make a light supper. It'll just be like salad and it should have been something that was easy, and it actually took me 3 hours.
Have you ever let your pork chops cook in a spaghetti sauce?
Yep.
Yeah, that's delish, isn't it?
That's like winter food.
I know, they just fall off.
Then you pour the whole thing over pasta.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, fuck, I made tortellini literally 2 nights ago. And like my favorite tortellini, like it's we've got tortellini here and they're filled with like 3 different kinds of cheese, and I made Alfredo with chicken and broccoli and mushrooms, and it should have been delicious, and and no one finished it. No one finished the dinner because everyone had the same thing of like, it tastes so good, but yeah, I just can't eat this. It's too much.
Something came across my news feed, well, not on Facebook, but maybe it was YouTube or something. But scientists are saying again that they've discovered something else in the human body that they didn't know about before. This just came up this week. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember.
I haven't seen anything new this week.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
I think it was an organ. It might have been a different organ. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It's not the organ that's all over the body that runs in that layer between the dermal layers? Are you talking about what's under the skin and that surrounds all the other organs?
I don't know. According to the article, it was a new discovery. So yeah.
Because it was a new discovery about 3 months ago.
Oh, well,
3 months ago, and it is a new organ of the body that they'd never ever recognized before. It was huge. It's actually a really huge discovery. I did a lot of research into it when it came up, and it's almost like little balloons, blister pockets that run in between the tissues around every organ and underneath your skin. And it's got a huge impact at the way now how they're now looking at how exchanges happen, not just water exchange, because that's what they were originally studying at, but yeah, kind of like bubble wrap, literally, Elizabeth. But exchange of, for me, cellular communication. That was a huge one for me. I was like, oh, we could be looking at a serious cellular communication medium, water. Hello.
Interesting.
Well, I was looking on Engadget, and they have they have a post about synthetic blood that for helping people in trauma, that can help them live up to 48 hours.
Yeah. But every time I see those articles about synthetic, because the article about synthetic blood, I mean, that's something they've been working on for 2 decades, really. And that's when they got the synthetic plasma, and then you went from there until actually getting the synthetic blood. I'm sorry, but every time I see an article like that, I immediately think about vampire movies. Like in Blade, that was one of the things in the Blade movies, that the vampires were making synthetic blood. And that's how they were funding themselves, selling the synthetic blood to the hospitals, etc., and all the rest of it. But there's been a shit ton of vampire movies where they make synthetic blood, and that's how they make their money and do all the rest of it. No, don't start popping your bubble wrap inside your skin. Seriously, it's not cool. Not cool at all. You know what, Amina? I've had that done, and I did not like it. I so did not like it. The fascia release. I literally, when the person started doing it to me, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And stop it right now. And they were like, oh no, this is very healthy for you. And I'm like, no, it's not. My body is screaming at you from every fiber. Stop what you're fucking doing right now. Yeah. Yeah, fascia release massage. No. No. No, likey. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. We kind of even went past time. And I'm really, really tired. We got this really strange storm coming in tomorrow. I don't know, maybe that's what my headache. I've had a fucking headache for 3 days nonstop. So maybe that's what it is.
I was going to say real quick too, Dee, before you finish, to say when you said the storm coming in, maybe think earlier when you showed the storm, the radar thing, the converging, that magnetic effect. Maybe think of that. That was so fucking bizarre.
It was bizarre. I've never seen anything quite like that before. That video was like, what the hell? Yeah. Seriously. Okay, so JC, if you want to turn off the live feed, and we'll say goodbye for the night. Oh, and Sunday night's movie, we're going to watch Lucy, because we watched The Fifth Element, which is Luc Besson, so we kind of have to watch Lucy now. And I haven't seen it. I've only seen it once, and a lot of people still haven't seen it. It's a very kind of violent movie, but there's some shit in that movie it's like, well, what are you trying to say here?
I loved it. Good movie.
Yeah. So yeah, Sunday night, the usual time, 10 Central, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, and 6 o'clock in the morning in Sydney. Sorry, guys. We're going to watch Lucy. And we'll be back next Wednesday for another UnFuckIt discussion. So yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
One small step